Next is Art Trone from the Sewer Department. Where there is a lot happening these days.
So, first I'd like to thank, because thank a few people honestly, because our budget every year is very involved, and this year was no exception, even a little bit more involved. So I want to thank everyone that helped on this, Rick Neely, Marion Lamb, Paul, Patty, and Supervisor, to really get this to where it is, and it makes sense both for next year and for many years to come. So we can, with that,
Take it away.
off we go. I'm just going to hit the highlights because obviously there's numerous line items in this budget. We're going to start with the sewage collection system, G8120. Over time, we did increase that 53.5% due to the fact that with the project we have ongoing, there will be, we expect some coordination with contractors, taking tanks down, bringing them back up online, bypassing and so forth. So we're just planning for a little bit more overtime on that. Hopefully it won't come to fruition, but we wanted to get it in there. Compensation on the collection. This will be a new maintenance mechanic. This maintenance mechanic was scheduled for last year, and so we're going to be held off a little bit, and we're going to put it in this year. Capital purchase equipment, that was dropped significantly, as you can see, by $112,000. This has a few small items, and again, we really tried to cut back on things that maybe we can move around. We do have some new equipment being purchased with the project, so this was a good place to try to cut back a little bit this year. Vehicle operating lease expenses up 13%. I will say that, and we just had an enterprise meeting today, that I think our vehicles 3 years ago were literally in shambles. They are much more functional now. The guys take care of them. They appreciate driving vehicles that have heat and are much more conducive to working. So they're very, very excited about that, and they're very well taken care of, that I can tell you. Repairs to system, that's up significantly, and the biggest portion of that is going to be doing some heavy cleaning of the main line on Schlegel Road. So we can get in there, and that's the one that's collapsed 2 to 3 times. We're going to do a heavy cleaning on it, then we'll get a camera in there afterwards to see what areas we need to line. But the first step of that is cleaning it, and then we can plan in the future to take care of those bad areas. Wet well cleaning is down 41%. We've been doing more of our own wet well cleaning with the new truck, so we were able to back that down with a new flush truck. Village charges are the village charges. Those are for some out-of-district users. The dioxide we zeroed right out. We're not using that. We won't be using it next year. Generator maintenance on the lift stations. So we have 22 pump stations. The majority of them have standby generators. This is just a cost increase to have the general maintenance done on those by an outside firm. We're going to go over to G8130. Again, overtime is up a little bit for the coordination of the project at the plant. Compensation employees, this includes a new wastewater treatment plant operator. jump right down. We got two items there, 40368 and 40372, ferric chloride and sludge hauling. Again, ferric chloride, we just bid that and the price went up. It just keeps climbing on us, so that's to cover those costs. And the sludge hauling, the sludge hauling did increase a little bit this year, well, going into next year, because we'll be cleaning some tanks, and it is our responsibility to dispose of that. It's actually less expensive for the town to dispose of it than to have a contractor dispose of it.
Art, will we see, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems like the better time to ask the question as long as you're on it.
Yep.
Will we see a decrease in that hauling cost once everything is cleaned and the new project is up and running?
We absolutely will, and that was like the premise of this project. Again, we have no control of the cost. We just bid it. It went up again. We had one response to the RFP, and honestly, Rick and I and Charlie went back and forth with them because it went from what used to be a little, you could have a handshake deal to a point, but now it's a much larger conglomerate that must be running Casella.
Sure.
And it's a hit then and all of that. So absolutely, because right now we're hauling 70 to 80% water, and if we have to send out the last site fertilizer, it's only 10% water.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So it doesn't go away, it just gets significantly reduced
It will get significantly reduced. Ideally, it will go away.
completely.
That's our hope.
Yeah.
That's our hope. But staying conservative.
Go away completely, not next year, but the following year then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
How's the dryer building progressing?
They actually just dug for the footers the past 2 weeks. They've been putting rebar in and forms, and they should be pouring, I would think, in the next, without having the schedule in front of me, the next 10 to 14 days.
Excellent. Thank you.
Telephone. So not a big number, $4,700, but that went up. I know Mary Ann's been working with Paul and Frontier. These are just charges, and unfortunately Steve left, that they just keep dinging us for all of our stations for copper lines. Prices just keep going up and going up. We're trying to work with Frontier to put in fiber. We've tried 2 stations over the last month. It is very inconsistent. These are for our alarms. So they're working to rectify that situation. Once we get up and going, and I think I had it in last year's budget, was more of a cloud-based system that will tie into our SCADA. I honestly, I did not put it in there this year. There's just too much going on for us to even consider something like that. So we'll stay with the fiber copper lines for our alarms at this point, but the plan is to take those up to a cloud-based system, and it'll be a little less expensive overall and a lot more user-friendly.
Well, with the entire plant going over to the SCADA system at some point, it seems like it would be wise to hold off on that.
Yes,
Or
well,
when
right.
we get to that point.
Right, so, right, the plant is on a SCADA. We've upgraded the SCADA 2 years ago in preparation for this project. And then our VT SCADA is what it's called, the software. It is able to pull in the stations as well. So we plan for that. Computer maintenance, that is just upgrading computers. Lab supplies are down, and you'll see another decrease. The village has decided to no longer use us for their testing, and that is their choice. So with that comes a decrease in revenue, but also a decrease in lab supplies. So buildings and ground maintenance, as we can see, everything is under construction. So we did decrease the cost of that, the line item for that for $5,900. There still are things around the facility that need to be maintained, but we felt that was a good spot to reduce some expenditures. I will jump into this one, 8130-40401, centrifuge preventative maintenance. I did keep that in there, and I will keep that in there until that centrifuge is taken out of service. Because as we all know, or don't know, when that centrifuge goes down, it is very costly. We just had a service on it last year. However, as of 2 days ago, we believe there's another issue with it. So we're going to leave that in there just as the safety net. So, conference in the schools. Again, not a big increase, and I wouldn't normally touch on this. However, this is a kudos to Rick Keneally. Since he's been here, he has really driven us to get involved, and the operators get involved into more education, going to more conferences and things like that. So that is really a kudos to him, and we want to continue doing that.
And also kudos to our employees who've taken advantage of that. We had one last year who was named Operator of the Year,
That's correct.
and one of our other employees received a scholarship
That's absolutely correct.
as a result of all this training.
Correct. So, sewer operation maintenance continued on the next page. So cleaning service and supplies, this is a bit of an estimate that we spoke to the cleaners when we're in our new admin building. Obviously, will be more cleaning needed for it. So, and there's Denise Jones calling in. Let's just should bring her in. We're going to skip over boiler conditioner and so forth. So we'll go down to 40432, lab analysis. Again, that's sort of driven by the village. So we're not doing much of their work anymore. Industrial pretreatment increased tremendously by $30,000. So per DEC and EPA, we need to do a headworks analysis. That has to happen about every 10 years. The plant hasn't done one in many years. So it's a costly test, has to be outsourced. So we're planning for that. Paul, do you want to go through employee benefits?
Yeah, employee benefits are based on history and expected trends. I have it up year to year, about 41,000 or about 6.3%. So not too bad on the benefit side.
Is that just commensurate with the salary increases?
Yeah, as you add people, as salaries go up, of course, FICA goes up. Workers' comp, with New York State retirement contributions. Historically, the employee benefit lines have been budgeted a little too high, so I'm trying to rein that in and get the budget down to where it reflects more where we actually think we're going to end up. So a 6.3% increase, had that been budgeted closer to actual, that would probably be more like a 10% increase. So I'm trying to get it down to reality,
Okay.
which makes it easier to budget.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're going to go to sewer operation and maintenance revenue side. First one you're going to see is 02117 high strength organic waste, HSOW. This will be a new revenue line for us. This is a very conservative number. We're hoping to bring that portion of the plant online in late Q3, Q4. So that should drive some numbers for us. Septic waste, that's another one. We haven't been able to take septic waste in probably 3 years due to the state of the facility. So again, Q3, Q4 to try to bring those haulage back.
We should probably talk about Fairlight too.
Yep, let's figure out that one.
Yeah, we've got Fairlight sewer rents in here. This, I think, is conservative. They're saying that they may be online and sending us flow in October of 2025. So we budgeted 900 units, which is, each unit is 60,000 gallons of flow. So the 900 based on what they're saying the flow is gonna be eventually, 2 million gallons a day, this 900 may be very conservative, but since it's unproven, we prefer to stay, you know, reasonable.
Absolutely, and earlier in
See
the
what
year,
happens.
they will be flushing their lines, cleaning tanks, doing some wash down and so forth, so we will get a nominal volume from them early in 2025.
Speaking of Fairlife, does anyone know how they're doing with their schedule based upon what we're predicting?
Actually, yes, I had a call yesterday, Josh and I are on numerous different calls, but as far as I understand, from their, because we always look at flow on our technical calls and,
Right.
you know, what's constituted in that, as of we know right now, they're still on schedule, unless,
That's my understanding.
yeah.
Which means they think they're gonna have at least one line operating by October of 2025.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. It was made very clear in my call that any deviations from that, they need to share that immediately, and they were all on the same page. Because they understand that, you know, our schedule is parallel to their schedule.
They're making tremendous progress with their construction there.
Well, and I think part of what's keeping all of that on track is there is a weekly meeting with several of the principals in the project so that everybody is in communication and they know where things stand and there are no delays because of communication gaps.
There was a decrease in village treatment, and that really goes back to what we spoke to earlier. The village is now outsourcing their all of their lab testing to a third party. Back to you, sir.
Yeah. Interest earnings have increased, rates have been very good the past year or so. We've been able to earn 5%, 5.2% in that range. They're projected to come down over the next year to 2 years by about 1%. So this number, the 100,000, is conservative. So eventually the rates will come down. So, but I was able to increase it substantially year to year. It was 50,000 and 24. So on the O&M side, we're looking at a rate based on the number of units, 219.77 compared to 297 cents in 2024. On the capital side.
Capital side, building improvements. So again, we're holding that flat at $5,000. Everything is not being touched at the plant, and there's always something that pops up. So we wanted to hold that line in there. Engineering consultants, that's been $10,000 for quite a long time. It seems that the projects we're getting into just with residents, proposed sewer projects, the cost or the in-depth that the engineers have to get into is more and more, especially as we start talking with New York State and their attorneys. So we just felt it'd be appropriate to bump that up $5,000. Capital improvement pump stations. So this really goes along with what we've been doing the last 7 years, is upgrading our pump stations. Again, antiquated systems. We will be putting in new rail systems. The rail systems we have in some of the stations you can't purchase anymore. You can't buy pumps that fit them anymore. Paving for Clem Road, that's back in there again. It's just gravel, and the fence is not in great shape. There's also replacement pumps for a couple stations, and just some items that will make the stations run more efficiently and reduce the number of call-outs that our staff has.
Is there an opportunity for grant money there or what?
No.
No? I thought there was some.
No, not for things of this nature,
Okay.
unfortunately. Capital improvements collections, These are repairing problem laterals, spotlighting leaks in the systems, things like that. It's so that we increase that $10,000 again just due to cost increases. And capital purchases buildings, we dropped it down $9,000.
With all of the work that's being done, do you really need $31,000 for building improvements, since there's so much construction going on there?
And that's a great question. Remember, they're really not touching the buildings, they're touching the infrastructure in the buildings. But we did reduce it $9,000. There are roofs, there are windows, there are numerous garage doors, garage door openers and things like that that still need to be maintained that are original, 50 years old. So we felt it prudent to at least keep some money in there at this point.
Okay.
But again, great question. You think that everything's being touched, and it isn't.
Thank you.
On the debt service side, the total debt service cost for principal and interest is going up fairly substantially year to year, up about $1.1 million. We'll be closing on a bond anticipation note renewal at the end of August for about $35 million. A year ago, we borrowed $33,500,000, so we're only increasing it $1.5 million, and the reason for that is because we got a $20 million grant from New York State. So that grant is saving us substantial amounts of money in principal and interest over the eventual term of the serial bond. We actually got a very good rate. I originally had forecasted a rate of 3.75% in the tentative budget, but Tuesday when the rates came in, they're going to pay us a band premium, which lowers the rate. So when you net everything down, I think the rate was 4%, but after the premium it was 2.936%. And our consultant, Municipal Solutions, said that's the best rate they've seen this year. So we get the gold star for the best interest rate. Our timing was perfect because we had that little couple of day financial market scare.
Yeah.
And that's exactly when our band sale took place. And it actually helped us.
Lucky.
Wow.
It's always,
Lucky day.
It
it's
was
always
incredible
great.
timing, actually.
Yeah, it's always great when you bring us that news. Thank you.
Right. So that's where we stand on debt service. Transfer to other funds. This $40,000 for the conveyance pipe, that's just our share for expenses that occurred before the bond resolution was passed. So we'll be transferring that in. I did budget a substantial amount, $540,000 to be transferred in the sewer capital reserve. And that's because we have substantial revenue on the books for 2025. The biggest piece is this $2,190,000 for the industrial commercial use charge. And that's actually the entrance fee that Coca-Cola Fairlife will owe to the town. It actually amounts to $21,900,000. We're striking a deal with them for it to be paid over 10 years. So this is the first installment, which is set to be paid in July of 2025. The company, Fairlife, will also be reimbursing us for 96% of the debt service cost on the conveyance pipe project. So that amounts to $770,000. So overall, our revenues are up. When you include both the capital and the O&M side, our revenue is up about $3 million, or 232%. Our expenses are up, but our revenue is up even more, which is actually driving the rate down on the capital side. The rate expected to be $43.16. Last year was $98.17.
And certainly this is testament to what we we've been talking about with the project being, it's such a high cost, but we're looking at certainly substantial revenues from this.
Right.
And both agreements with Coca-Cola on both the conveyance pipe and the entrance fee is set. But the flow is the other one that we've been working on. We hope to actually have a resolution next week to put those in place. And everyone has been working overtime between both Coca-Cola, Fairlife, and the town on getting these set, and I think we're getting closer to that. I know that people are anxious to see those things signed, but both sides want to be sure that they are airtight and respect both sides of those who are signing. So it's been a lot of work, but we will get there, and hoping it happens by next week, but we're not going to do it if it's not right.
What's interesting, the New York State grant that we received, awarded to us by Governor Hochul, for $20 million, that actually saves the town about $1,400,000 over a 30-year period, each year for 30 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a big saving to this project.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions?
I had a question. You talked about the industrial pretreatment and it was going up $30,000 and you mentioned it was just something that needed to be done. My question was on the timing. With some of the other increases in the budget, is that time sensitive? Does that have to happen in 2025?
It does. Yeah, it does have to happen. It is driven by regulatory agencies,
Okay.
and they're requesting it.
And then the cleaning, I guess, that went up like 61%.
61.29, correct.
And you mentioned it's just a bigger space, is it really that much? Is
Yeah.
it? Yes.
We don't know. So again, until the building is finished, we won't know what the actual cost is. We worked with the cleaning company to try to get some ideas of what it is. So to put it in perspective, the sewer department never had a cleaning service up until 4 years ago. We were cleaning it ourselves. So what we don't want to do is have a new facility and not take care of it. Again, we should hopefully dial those numbers in by the end of the year, once the building is up and occupied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
No. Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Art. It's
Thanks,
been a
Art.
very detailed and constantly moving project and projections. Appreciate it. And Paul, thank you for all your hard work on that as well.